Okay, so we're back, about to start the taping for real. Start with the big stripes first, and I've got my little plexi piece here with my scissors and my mat knife or box cutter. Now for the wide stripes and all this kind of stuff, I kind of just use the 1/2 inch and just lay it sort of on the edges so I can get it, because I don't know what, I mean 3/4, I don't know exactly how wide this thing really was in real life. Who knows? I mean, tape is strange. With nominal thicknesses or widths, it's like plywood. You buy 1/2 inch ply, it ain't 1/2 inch, right? So I find it easier. If you want it to look like the thing, make it look like the thing. All right, so just cut it exactly to the size you need and cover over what you want. Cover it over. So there we have that stripe. You can see how, like, this 1/2 inch piece, it's probably pretty close, you know. But the blue is actually a little bit wider. So I'm going to grab the blue here. And it's a good spot because it also kind of needs to conform to a curve. So this would be a place I'd use blue. Vinyl tape. And just kind of, you can see where it goes across the guitar from up here down to here. Right? Peel it off a little bit. There we go. And then we could just kind of cut it. And I just let it hang off the edges, and then at the end, when I'm done with the taping on one side, I'll just cut everything uniform to the perimeter stripe. Let's see what's next. For this one too, I'm going to use blue, as it's got a little bit of a contour to follow. So just go ahead and put that down. Right? Then follow that contour. There we go. Alright, now we've got one last piece of 1/2 up at the top horn, or we can put on like so. Cut it a little long so we can make it around. Okay, looks like we've got this piece too of 1/2. Go ahead and peel off a strip here, get it laid in there. Okay, and then it continues on. Luckily we have also this little handy dandy line from which to sort of line that stripe up on. Right about there and there, right? Yep, there we go. Yeah, I think that's about it for the 1/2 inch pieces. So now we can go and get the 1/4 inch pieces down. For that, I did decide to cut custom lengths or custom widths off of the bigger roll of 332 tape. So I got some 1/4 inch guys here. So I'm just going to go ahead and start laying these down. I'm going to start with, let's see, I'll start with over here maybe. Yeah, this one. Kind of laying it in. So I don't have a whole lot of the stock roll of quarter inch tape left. So I'm going to do the lines that I can do with this sort of ready-made stuff that I've just kind of cut out of the other tape. Okay. Is that long enough for that? No. So we're going to need to cut some more of this. So I'm going to pause the tape here for a second and go cut some more quarter inch. Okay, so cut some more of this quarter. I'm going to have to use some of this rolled quarter for some of these stripes as they're kind of long, right? So, for instance, this one. That one's a little longer than 18 inches. So we need to use what we got on this roll. Hopefully we'll have enough to complete the front as well. I think we will. If not, we'll figure something out. Alright, this one's really long, so we're going to get on that one too. Alright. Okay. And that's really it for the super long ones, I think. Maybe this one. Let's take a piece of a homemade quarter. I think that'll do because it really just ends in this 3/4 inch stripe here, so we don't need to go a whole lot further than that. All right. Okay. And we just keep going. This guy here. Get another piece. One that runs across the body this way. Got a couple more to do. One that runs along the control cavity. Right. And the one that runs along the lower horn. Right. Okay. I believe that's about it for this side of the guitar. As we said, the black stripes we add after we do this and put the red coat down. Yeah, I think that's it. So we got the back of the guitar done. So next step is to go ahead and trim everything. I'll move it now. There's no point in not moving it. All the little kind of edges, you want all these lines of tape to end in this blue line. They're not going to cross it. So I'm going to go ahead and chop that all down. Then I'm going to reset the projector for the front of the guitar, and we're going to do that one. Okay, so here is the front image that we're going to be using for the guitar. And now we just basically lay the guitar in there, matching up the neck pocket, the two trem posts, the volume pot, and the humbucker. And I think that's it right there. That's pretty darn close. So now we can shut down the light and start taping again. Yeah, that looks good. I think I need to cut myself some more 1/4 inch stripes, so I'm going to pause and cut myself some more stripes. So we'll do that. So I cut myself some of the tape and also this 1/8 inch piece, which goes right here. So the first thing I like to do, or I'm going to do, is do the 1/2 inch stripes. As soon as I can find the seam in the tape, that would be good. There we are. Okay, and we're off. Tell you, before I used this projector sort of method, it would take 2 days probably to lay all this out. So you're just never happy with the way things are looking. Going back and forth, every stripe you end up agonizing over for 10 minutes. Still a little bit of agony, especially on this one. This one is not straight, so you really kind of need to follow this line correctly, or you're going to end up with a weird sort of goings on here. And this is a focal point, I think, anyway. And if that's wrong, the whole guitar is shot in that respect. So it's important to get that right. And a lot of these lines are not straight. I know there's some camera skewing involved, but tape doesn't always like to lay in a perfectly straight line, that's for sure. Got another piece here. And I think that's it for 1/2 inch. Now we'll start with the other stripes. Now I'm going to do this small thin stripe, the 1/16 inch next, just so I've got it off and done, and I'm not going to accidentally pick it up and do another stripe with it. So get that one out of the way, and then you know that you're not going to risk putting it in the wrong place. Alright, so there's that one. Now the rest of it is just the quarter inch nominal tape. And we ran out of the pre-rolled stuff, so some of these aren't going to make it across. So in that case, what I like to do, let's say for this, I'll show you right here, is we're laying the stripe down where it should be, right? And where it crosses over another line of tape, you can cut it there. And then just continue on with another fresh piece. And you don't really have to worry about any seam creating some weirdness. You know, it's already an area where there is an overlap, so that makes an easy long run, right? And then we have a piece like this left over, which we can use for, you know, there's a bunch of smaller stripes. Can use it for, let's say, over on the top horn here. We'll just get this out of the way. All right, get this one. And this little leftover piece here could be used to go across the horn here. There we go. An advantage too, I think I mentioned this before, about using, let's say like a wider strip, wider tape, and kind of cutting it with a ruler to narrow it to 1/4 inch or whatever, is that you get very clean lines because the edges of the tape are fresh. That's a big problem with the tape, is it accumulates funk on it. Dust, dirt, fur balls, whatever. And that adheres to the edge of the tape, and then you end up with weird looking lines. So here's another place where we're going to do 2 as 1. And we'll use this piece here back up on this horn again. You know? Kind of stick it there. Okay. Grab another piece to continue that line, starting again in the overlap area so that it hides the joint, and it's just as good as a continuous piece of tape. Chop it again. Let's see what we can do with this. Nothing, but we'll just put it here. Let's go ahead and do more stripes. We can do, well, let's do this one. All right. I think I'm going to pause here and cut some more 1/4 inch for myself. Alright, so we cut some more tape. Get back down here and keep laying in the stripes. And interesting too is thing too we were talking about earlier was, in this area here there was a lot of debate about the wood, just because of some photographs that showed up that showed in higher resolution that this was in fact grain that the paint had sunken into, and a lot of people thought that meant that it had to be ash. Because ash is, you know, a very grainy kind of wood. But I'll tell you, poplar has a tendency to swell in a way, not saying worse, but in a way that, let's say basswood or ash or maple or anything else, it just doesn't swell the same way. And by swell I mean absorb moisture or fluids. Could be anything from solvents to sweat to actual water. And it has a tendency then to sort of reveal a grain as the wood, it absorbs the water and swells. I kind of found that out the hard way with poplar when I was building some poplar Stratocasters. a number of years ago at the shop, and I was in a bit of a hurry to finish them, and I was spending a little bit of time sort of sealing the bodies that I had made with some sanding sealer, solvent-based sanding sealer, and the end grain around here was just soaking up, right, as it will do. But me being impatient and in a hurry, I was just flooding it with sanding sealer, trying to get through this as quickly as possible. And I'll tell you, anybody who's done any finishing work at all knows the worst thing you can ever do when you're trying to do finishing work on a guitar is be in a hurry. That is a guaranteed way of making sure that it's going to take 3 times as long, because you're going to have to correct all the mistakes that you made that were just a pure result of rushing. Too much lacquer, not enough drying time, so forth and so on. But anyway, I had gotten these bodies soaked in the end grain with sealer. And as the body cured, or as the sanding sealer cured over the next, I don't know, I ended up having to wait like an extra week. So that showed me, how good I was at, saving time. This piece needs to be moved a little bit here. Yeah, that's better. All of this area ended up with these big ridges. And all that prep sanding that I had done to make those bodies perfectly smooth and flat was just wasted. The grain had swollen. Now it's, it doesn't look exactly like ash, but it no longer looks like poplar. Let's put it that way. And this body being poplar, I did try to soak it with the white around these edges here. To try to get the grain to pop a little bit, to kind of swell a little bit, to see if we can come up with this shape here naturally. I also chose the piece of wood, and if you look at the first video in this series where I've just got the block of poplar that I got off, to cut the body out of, it was flat sawn here and quarter sawn here, so it could reveal this kind of, a flat sawn curvature in the forearm contour. So I'm going to see if that works out. Let's say you didn't want to do that, you just wanted it to match perfectly. One thing you can do, let's say like right now, would be to take like a plastic knife and use not the knife edge, but sort of this edge here, which is round, and sand it a little bit so it's nice and smooth, and kind of trace the dark parts pressing into the wood and squishing, making artificial grain, so that when you spray the red and then you go sand back, the red stays in the depressions that you've made that follow these lines, and then you'll have that sort of a look exactly, or you could just brush it in if you're an artist later on. But I think for this one, we'll see what happens, what it ends up looking like. It's an experiment more than anything. I've got enough of these things in my closet where I don't really need another one. I just want to experiment. So we're going to see what happens with just the natural poplar, because this would be the only poplar one I have. The rest are, I've got some basswood ones, pine, hard maple, a bunch of different woods that I've used over the years. I got too many guitars. It's a sin, really. But they're mostly parts. I never have them all assembled at the same time. So I'll do a little bit of Barbie dolling, where I take parts off of one guitar and put them on another and see how it works out. Trying to come up with something I like. Neck from this guitar, a body from that guitar, pick guard off of this guitar, And being that I made all the parts, I don't really have a lot of problems with them fitting together, as they're all made off of the same jigs. I mean, granted, I'm not going to be able to take a neck off of one of these guitars and put it on a Stratocaster, like a regular Stratocaster body, because those neck pockets are a little different, and my neck jigs are different as well. But within the species, I can kind of switch things around, and all the necks that I have for these guitars will all interchange easily. So I'm just looking this over. I think we're done. I'm not sure if there is a stripe there on the original, and if it's worn away. I don't think there is. I'm going to look online right now and see what I can find of the guitar when it was new. Back to Google again. God. There's one from, looks like the Roth era, so this should be pretty new. No, that's all wear. I was pretty sure of that, but I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, so we're you can sort of see right here what I was talking about. I was wondering if there was, by the volume pot, this was a worn stripe, but that's all just wear. It looks like there's nothing else there. All right, so I think we're done. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of clean up the edges and then press everything down so that we get good crisp paint lines, and then I'm going to go and shoot three coats of the red Montana orange red that we use for the headstock, so it all matches, and then we'll do a peel and reveal. All right, so I'll see you guys later.